Peace and love, family. How is everyone doing tonight? Thank you for joining us on another edition of the RAM Book Club, Resurgence of the African Mind, where we seek to liberate African minds by reading one unit of work at a time. My name is Lili La-Poete Speaks. I am the author of Perception of a Misplaced African. You will get the links to join the panel or to listen in the discussion at lililapoetespeaks.com. Click on the Blueprint for Black Power link, family, and scroll down to the appropriate chapter. This week, we are doing 2 chapters, family, chapter 20 and chapter 21 of course, the big one, Blueprint for Black Power. If you've been joining us, I'm sure you have your copy. If you don't have your copy, you can still get, what, a couple more, right, sis?
We have one left, sis.
We don't have one. We have literally one left.
Literally.
If you would like, if you need to get that last copy, family. So last week, we did chapter 19, the paucity of Black wealth. We talked about facts about Black wealth ownership, collective capitalism, and we also talked about reparations. This week, we're going to talk about the myth of the market economy and Black power. We're going to focus on African-American economic ideology, self-defeating economic ideology, and trade strategies of African-American community, and we'll get some lessons in history. Chapter 21, Nation Within a Nation. We're going to talk about the American community, separate and unequal, the American community as a de facto third world nation, and the advantages of an American community, an African American nation. So once again, I'm Lili La-Poete Speaks. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to let the panel introduce themselves.
Peace and power, family. This is your sister, Dr. Deanna Bailey, also known as Dr. Maat. Sister Lima. You know, I need to confirm that I'm a child of Oya. I've been repping this name for a while. And
I know. I'm sorry, sis. I've been a hot mess, and I just said that this morning. I said,
yes.
Let me do this while I'm on the phone.
Yes. I definitely want to get with, you know, I know you have a few Babalawos down there in your area. I want to get a reading done just to confirm that I am a child of Oya. So I kind of did it backwards, sis, and I realized that, you know, I just named myself based on my attributes and my characteristics.
I can see Oya. I can see that. I can see it.
But there's 400. There's so many Orishas.
Yes.
She could be an Orisha that we don't even know. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. Yes, so it's like I combined it. You know, I looked at the attributes of Oya. I said, yes, I'm her. And then I looked at the Kemetic culture and my art and justice. I said, and I just combining it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm kind of tracking, you know, it's kind of backtracking, sis. But hopefully I am a child of Oya. Like you said, there's so many Orishas. I may not be one of the more, I guess, popular or well-known, you know, Orishas. But we'll get it done. We'll get it done. So anyway, family, my name is Dr. Deanna Bailey, also known, or AKA, also known as Dr. Oya Maat. I am an adjunct professor at the School of Engineering, Morgan State University. I teach digital communications, wireless communications. I'm also the co-founder of Ed Anime Productions, which is a company that I founded with my family in 2013 to create educational materials for children, and particularly African children, in hopes to change the self-perception of African children and to awaken the genius, the natural genius within African children. Right now, we have our flagship project, Meltrek, available. Please Google it. Just Google Meltrek, Meltrek, and links to purchase this product and learn more about it will generate within the search engine. I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic to our panel. We have a dynamic panel that meets week after week, and it's a pleasure to be a part of the book club. I'll go ahead and pass the mic to you, Sister Camille.
The red, the black, and the green. Hey. Which means hello and welcome. My name is Camille Gaynor-Jones. It is my honor to be a part of tonight's programming and sit on a panel with the illustrious family and those in the chat. I'm a professional drummer, producer, educator, clinician. You can check me out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. My website is CamilleGaynorJones.com. And I'm looking forward to getting it in on this next chapter that our ancestor, Baba Amos Wilson, had the foresight to formulate for us to start to implement and teach to our family and friends. And thank you for tuning in. Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe.
Okay.
One of the brothers.
Resurgence of the African mind. What an honor, what a pleasure to be a part of this family. I know that I was divinely, strategically placed with this family, and I'm glad about it. My name is Impu Haru, and we have a Empowering Us Afrocentric study group here in Pennsylvania, Erie, Pennsylvania. We're right between Pittsburgh and Buffalo, not too far from Cleveland. My profession, I'm an instructor / job coach for the mentally challenged. I'm also a mental health advocate. I'm just, again, excited to begin tonight's study. Peace and Black Power.
Peace, brother.
Yes, yes.
Peace, fam. This is Brother Travis out of Detroit. I'm an IT professional and I'm an online seller. It's a powerful group we have here. I can't wait to get started here tonight. I missed last week, and I just want to dig into these 2 chapters. Family out there on YouTube, stay locked in. We got some powerful minds here with this group and Black Power.
Black Power, brother.
Power.
We missed you too, brother, last week.
I miss you guys. I miss being here.
The resurgence of the African Black.
I totally missed.
Ashe.
You breaking up on my end.
You breaking up a little bit, brother.
Can you hear me?
Let me make an adjustment. 1 second.
I think it's both of them trying to talk at the same time.
Oh, sorry. I'll wait.
Brother Tawolo.
Hello, family. This is Johnson Tawolo too, Baltimore, Maryland. Resurgence African Mind book panel. It's a pleasure to be a part of this book panel. And also, welcome everyone out there in YouTube land, checking us out and learning as we go on chapter 20 and chapter 21.
Indeed.
And greetings, Black family. As you know, I go Eric. I'm friends with Deion Bailey on Facebook. And, you know, I am a man search and seeking and also a reader and heavily advocate for all Black males and females to look up Amos Wilson and his works. I have now gotten almost all his complete set. I got the new one, what they call The Issue of Manhood, Black and White, which I believe was released last year. Second edition of the developmental of the what do you call it? Development properly. The developmental psychology of the Black child, which I did complete it. The first time it was printed. And I guess the second one has a little change, nothing too much, but nonetheless, these are the books must read. Besides, I'm after the Blueprint Black Power, so I advise people to get as much books as possible from Robert Amos Wilson. And one thing, if people want to find other things, you can check the link on Facebook, which I create called the Intellectual Warfare.
Intellectual Warfare.
Yeah, and I'll inbox to Miss Dr. Bailey later. But nonetheless, thank you. Let us begin. It's a nice conversation.
Ashe.
Sister Alima, Queen. Go ahead and start us off, Queen.
Okay. The myth of the market economy and Black power. Let's see, what did I have on this page here? Just a couple things, family. First paragraph, I just pointed out that the United States of America is a prime example of nations of nations. They are customarily referred to as ethnic groups, which is true. Then a little bit further down, it says that each ethnic group or nation and economically and socially interacting with other groups or nations over time may be said to have a history of economic ideas which have guided their economic behavior and which have led to discernibly different economic and political consequences. As this is true of the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant nation, of the Chinese, Japanese, Italian, Korean, etc. It is also true of the African-American nation. That's all I have. First page.
No, absolutely. That's what I have. I actually have the first paragraph highlighted, sis. And when I was reading this, you know, he said that, okay, the United States is, you know, an example of nations within nations, but all of these other groups move as a nation.
Right.
So I'm looking at this list: white Anglo-Saxon, Chinese, Japanese, you know, Italian, Korean, Cuban, etc. they conceive of themselves as a nation, and they make economical and political decisions based on nationhood. But we're the only group in this list, like who don't conceive of ourselves as a nation and move it. So that kind of stuck out to me. Like, wow, he's right. It's really, U.S. is like a nation of nations, but like out of all of the different ethnic groups that he listed, we're the only ethnic group who don't move as a nation. So that's kind of what I thought about when I looked at this first paragraph. Yes, Brother Travis?
Oh, I didn't say nothing. I was just listening. Absolutely.
Yeah. So go ahead, Sister Alima. African-American economic ideology.
Yes.
Economic ideology.
Okay, so I started on 492, right here where it says generally at the top. Generally, the economic ideology of the African American community is more implicit than explicit. It is often overlooked that the civil rights movement was and is, sorry, apparently my throat is aggravating me, was and is not only a political movement, but also an economic movement, a movement based on economic set of ideas, stratagems, and tactics. This is the case for Black nationalist movements as well. As is readily apparent, both these movements actively advocate radical changes in both the social and economic orders of the white American-dominated United States, along with the changes in its power relations. These movements, therefore, have been resisted and to some degree accommodated for those very reasons. But I wanted to point that out, that is something also that's not mentioned, but the civil rights movement, as they stated, it was both political, and economic, you know what I mean? Because they stopped robbing the buses. They took a lot of money out of those people's pockets.
Absolutely.
Also, you got to think about
hold on, family. Go ahead, Brother Tuola.
Yes, Sister Lima, I was also thinking about the same thing, because if you think about the second movement of our ancestor, Dr. Martin Luther King, his second movement was definitely economic. After attacking Vietnam, his next movement was, okay, let's go back and get our check, based off of that 2 months before he was murdered and taken away from us. So yes, that second half of his message was economics.
That's right.
They don't show that part of it, but you're very right. You're very true, brother. They keep him dreaming. Anything that you see about Dr. King, they keep him as a person that's dreaming about, holding hands with white folks. But you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I was going to say that that's one of my favorite speeches. That the one when you're talking about we come in to get our check.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, the speech that no one want to talk about, Queen.
Yeah, I post that all day, every day. When it was his birthday, I was like, this is the speech that I like. I don't know about all that holding hands and carrying on. I'm not with that. This is the speech that got him killed. And if he was so peaceful and non-threatening, they wouldn't have killed him. So I also say that
because he tried to switch it up and get on some Malcolm X shit, and they was like, "Now wait a damn minute here. This is not the way we trained you."
Exactly.
What's happening? He got to go.
And then and like you guys said, a lot of people don't know about this Martin Luther King. You know what I mean?
That's right.
They keep him, like Travis said, they keep him dreaming. They keep him nonviolent. They keep him integrationist. And in the last half of his life, he shifted his paradigm. They also don't talk about the fact that in 1966 he met with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, he did.
I Travis about that, because that being in Detroit.
That's right.
They don't.
Yes,
they don't talk about that either.
But now what happened was that was in Chicago, brother, because remember they moved
Chicago.
Because they moved the temple because he got ran out of Detroit. The FBI ran him out of Detroit. That's what happened in Chicago.
You're right.
Hold up. Elijah Muhammad got ran out of Detroit?
Absolutely. He got ran out of Detroit. He got arrested here also. Master Farad Muhammad got arrested here also. And so he went on the run and then not only the FBI was after him, his own brothers wanted to kill him. And so he went on the run, not only in Chicago, but he went to other cities, because not only his very own brothers turned against him after Farad made his transition. That's another story. I know where he made his transition at. But after he disappeared, Farad disappeared, a lot of people here in Detroit was after him to take him out. I don't know. They might have been agents for the police. I don't know. But then he ended up in Chicago. That's where he reestablished the Nation of Islam.
Didn't know that history, brother, but thank you so much for that.
And shortly after that meeting, that's when Martin started changing his tune. And if you remember, he said, I believe I ran my people into a burning house based off that first mentality. So when you start going after the power structure, that's when they start to take you out. When you just tell them, if you say, hey, let's bootstrap and let's do this and let's do this without them, then it's not much of an issue. But when you start asking them and demanding that they do things, and he had the people and the power in order to do so, that's when he had to go.
That's right.
Yeah.
But this was a great point, Sister Alima, that Dr. Amos Wilson brought out, that the civil rights movement wasn't just about civil rights. It was also about, it's also an economic movement. So I think this is a good point.
But let's not forget that they stopped at the policies. They stopped before they can get the economic inclusion.
That's right.
Yeah.
I just want to make that point prior to moving on.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead, continue, Sister Alima.
Okay. I went down to the bottom paragraph. If anybody wanted to point anything out before then, because I started in the middle of the bottom. So if there's anything that stuck out that someone wanted to point out. Okay. All right. So at the bottom, the middle, towards the end, where it's in the middle of the paragraph, we argue that it has been brought to this pass and shall remain there or continue to decline rapidly along with other African peoples and nations because its economic ideology is antiquated of the 19th century and based of the myth of the market economy. In good parts, its economic vulnerability is directly the result of its naive commitment to laissez-faire or free market economics in the absence of such orientations and commitments, despite their vociferous lip service on the part of any of the other ethno-cultural groups in America. The belief in the myth of the market economy and practice of the concept of free markets by the African-American community, along with its concomitant belief in and practice of the myth of individualism, have laid it open to the economic penetration and domination by white and non-white communities. And that's in the sum is true because we feel that we have open advantages when it comes to the market. So we participate in the market, like a regular consumer would, but we don't reap the benefits of those advantages, and we really don't understand the system actually.
Exactly, we don't understand the system at all.
At all.
I had a video that I watched yesterday when I was reading over this, and it was talking about the 10 markets that would make you pretty wealthy if you would trade with Africans. And one of the things that they brought out was that Nigeria produces the largest amount of tomatoes for the continent. But the problem is, it's not that they can do the production; they don't have the capacity to process it. So that means China sends them canned tomatoes, paste. So this is one of the things that could be taken advantage of. So when you talk about the free market, they stop them in the production of making more money, or also giving them the ability to trade outside. So you can grow it, but it's going to go to waste and you'll lose so much money instead of reaping the benefits of the process, and they can gain more money and also trade with other nations. So just little things like that that could be a plus. And the video showed like 10 things that could be created, but that's one thing that came to mind. Just the process of stopping that free market, that ability to really benefit from what you have, your resources.
And I just want to be clear, because I know that we've been going through this, Brother T, the whole panel, looking at like this economics. Because I know you heard Sister Alima and Brother T use the term free market. I just want to be clear to those viewers that a free market, when we say free market, okay, a free market is defined as an economic market or system in which prices are based on competition among private businesses and not controlled by the government. That's right. What by free markets. I just kind of wanted to make that clear when we throw these terms around. When we say things like open market, we're saying that it's an unrestricted market with free access by and competition of buyers and sellers. Okay, so it's an open market, it's an unrestricted market.
Mm-hmm.
And when we say things like free trade, we're talking about an international trade left to its natural course without tariffs. So we're talking about taxes, quotas, and other restrictions. Okay, so these I just want to make sure that they understand, the terms that we'll be using throughout this discussion. But you guys can continue.
Yeah, that was good, Queen.
Could I add something to that?
Yes, ma'am.
I was gonna ask something.
It's a
wait,
myth.
don't talk about the sister, brother. Hold on.
The free market is a myth.
Oh, she freezing up.
African American have money. Am I cool now?
Oh, there you go.
All right. Now I was saying, as far as a free market, we can barely participate because we don't have any 100-something years ago.
Making a good point.
I know we can't hear.
You gonna get in? Am I breaking up again?
No, I think there's something going on with the connection because it's everybody messing up tonight.
Maybe I'll go out and come in.
I don't think it's you, sis. Mine was messing up. Dr. Maat's was. Brother Tuola's it.
Okay. Well, yeah. Did you get what I said?
Sister, week says we say, are we going to move to another type of software? And we
up here every week, right?
We gotta make one.
We need to, y'all. We need to take a day and take a 30 minutes or something and see if we can find something.
And research.
All right, we did, because like you said, I think it's everybody. I don't think it's just you today.
I don't think so either, because mine been really dragging.
Yeah,
everybody's kind of messing up. But I was saying that the concept of a free market, especially when it's controlled by corporations, it's not free for everyone to participate. Right. And you cannot take out a company like Amazon or you can't even compete with them.
That's right.
That's so that's all like they have everybody out here thinking that they are partaking in the system, so in a free system, so that they won't start to tear up the place.
Exactly.
when it finally dawns on them that it's all.
Okay.
Oh no.
It's like that. That's all. People say, I own a home, but stop paying taxes and see what happened to your home.
I know that's right.
Real. That's right.
And just eminent domain, they can come in. They can just move you whenever they want.
Whenever they want.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's how they destroyed Detroit. They put I-75 through black people's community.
And sure did.
Black bottom Detroit, and they put I-75 right through it.
Right through it.
Yeah, well, that's also how the South Bronx was formed.
That's the type of stuff they do, Queen. They do it everywhere. Even just the small town I was in, the small community where a lot of blacks were, they tore down all those houses and they're putting highway right through it.
Yeah.
All of those people, they gave them vouchers for like 2 years and they moved them. They didn't have options. You got to go.
Right. You can't fight it. You can't do nothing.
At all. It's not, take your voucher and you leave.
And we saw that firsthand in Baltimore City with Johns Hopkins Hospital when they went to the poor neighborhoods that are in the area, bought up the poor neighborhoods, gave them vouchers and moved them right on out.
Matter of fact, every major hospital in Baltimore, from Johns Hopkins, University of Maryland, Sinai, everyone bought up the houses in that surrounding neighborhood.
Wow.
Moved everyone on out to
the if you think about it, if you look at where a lot of hospitals are, that's kind of where they are. You know what I'm saying? They're not too far away from a lot of ghettos or different stuff like that. So that shows you what was there before they put them there.
Absolutely.
All right, family, let's move on. Page 493. Somebody want to kick it off, sis? Dr. Maat?
Okay, it says in the present context, laissez-faire. Hold on, I got it right here because I've been mispronouncing this word.
Laissez-faire.
Laissez-faire. And laissez-faire simply means, family says, laissez-faire is a policy or attitude of letting things take their own course without interference. All right, laissez-faire. Okay, so in the present context, laissez-faire economics involves the belief that there should be no legislated or cultural or ethnic barriers to the movement of capital investment in business activities in those areas which their owners, regardless of race, color, creed, or nationality, deem it most profitable to employ them. It is the belief that all barriers to entry into productive activities and product markets should be without restriction. And when this occurs, the self-interested pursuit of these activities and markets will produce the broadest possible mutual benefits for all concerned. Related to the concept of laissez-faire economics is that of the market economy or the free market. All right. So it says, so then he goes on, he quotes from a book written by William. And he's talking about, what distinguishes a market from an organization. And he says that the defining social characteristic of a market is the impersonal between buyer and seller, okay? And he goes on to say that in the absence of impersonal exchange, market exchange does not exist. That is, if particular buyers have privileged access, and he has these things italicized, privileged access to the goods and services, or vice versa. By definition, the existence of markets exchange requires that buyers have equal to the resources of sellers. Okay. This is the difference between, a market, and I guess I would want to add the adjective, Sister Alima, a free market, right? Not just a market, but a free market versus an organization. He's saying that that difference is that in this free market, if it was ideally, or truly a free market, then he's saying that, it would be impersonal and that everyone would have equal access in selling of the commodities of these markets. In a perfectly competitive market, as idealized by neoclassical economists, there is no organization among or between buyers and sellers. In the pursuit of their own self-interest, buyers compete themselves, marketed goods and services, while sellers compete among themselves for access to the currency of buyers. So he's saying that if this was a perfectly competitive market, this would be the case. All right, I'm moving on to page 494. So it says that the political message is that the exercise of social power plays no role in the orientation of the capitalistic economy. The allocation of resources is so widely dispersed among households. In a market economy, individuals are free from inherent personal commitment and dependence on the will of others. Milton and Rose Friedman have put it, free to choose. Okay, they are free to choose. The economic message is that the invisible hand of the market will ensure that resources are allocated to their most productive uses with the net satisfaction or utility. Now he has these lines italicized. Derived from producing and consuming marketable commodities, serving as the ultimate measure of productivity. So if we let impersonal market forces direct the allocation of resources of income, so the story goes, individual freedom and economic well-being will go hand. So again, italicized, and I thought that this was very, very important. So he said, if that impersonal market forces direct the allocation of resources, which is not true, right? It's always personal in this market. So he's saying that if impersonal market forces that direct the allocation of resources and the distribution of income, he's saying that this would be the case or the ideal case of individual freedom and economic well-being. These things will go hand in hand. But we already know, family, that this is not the case. Right. So moving on to the next section. Did anyone want to add anything to this?
No, Queen.
Or okay. So the next section is Anglo-American economic worldview. So he says the economic ideology and strategy of a trade community or nation are related to its worldview. I know that brother Anka Cat from the Almond Ross book always talks about worldview, viewing the world through the lenses of our African ancestors, right?
That's true, very true.
Our worldview. So he's saying that our economic ideology and strategy, community or nation, they are related, okay? So, but in this particular case, he's talking about the economic worldview, and you'll see that as we continue. So he says, according to James Follows, Washington editor of the Atlanta Monthly, The Anglo-American countries of Britain and the US project a worldview that is market-oriented. The Atlantic Monthly, which was published on 1193, 1293, and 194. This worldview is crucially different from that of other countries, particularly Japan's. The Anglo-Americans' worldview, first practiced by Great Britain and later by US, emphasizes 1, the unpredictability and unplannability of economics. 2, assumes that the ultimate measure of a society is its level of consumption, right? 3, emphasizes how the game is played, not who wins or loses. 4, focuses on how individuals fare as consumers and how the whole world fares as a trading system. 5, emphasizing the idea that everyone can prosper at once. And 6, that if a country disagrees with the Anglo-American economic axioms, it doesn't just disagree, it is a cheater. I'm telling you, family, please, whoever's listening to this live stream, please get this book if you don't have it. Dr. Amos Wilson, man, just laid out the Anglo-American economic worldview. So he's teaching you how this thing works, okay? Yes. What is their economic ideology? And I guarantee you, family, if we went to the average African person, right, whether they're in America, Europe, the Caribbean, wherever, continental African, and we said, what is the economic worldview, the current dominating economic worldview? Nobody knows. These are things that we just don't know. And I mean, I thought I had this whole paragraph highlighted. I'm like, wow, I had no idea. I thought it was beautifully summed up. You know, this economic worldview of Europeans, their economic ideology. You know, what is it? What does it entail? Because ultimately, this is the economic ideology that we're dominated by. But anyway,
right.
Dr. Maat?
Yes.
We're not even in the game.
Which paragraph was that again?
On the board.
I'm gonna start at.
Yeah, this was at the bottom of page 494, where he lays out the Anglo-American economic worldview. How their economic ideology. Okay. And he lays it out. He gives six bullets. Okay.
And so you know, it's interesting. This man devoted thousands and thousands of dollars of research to compile this book.
Yes.
Even when I always go back, Fink said that he passed before this book was ever released 3 years later. It makes the question say, you know, this is not no ordinary research this man just did.
Right.
Full blueprint.
Not at all.
And think about this. There are a lot of scholars in our times that write books and compile our things from Eurocentric, wherever. This is the only author / psychologist that wrote this book laying it all out.
Right.
I don't know anybody right now in existence right now, maybe besides Claude Anderson, which is all right. But this man right here, he just laid the whole thing out. This is why I recommend most people say, you know, youths that say, you know, as you come into age, even going through your development through, you know, pre-K to going to high school, you got to have this book in your household and go through this.
Oh, absolutely.
This is not no game book that, and mind you, this is the time now where this is now even more needed than ever. Going forward as we approach 2020 and beyond, that this book after 20 years, we're going back at it, that is showing proof now said this is the only way to go by. So let's continue. I don't want to interrupt.
Oh, no, brother, no.
Right, brother.
Yeah, that was a wonderful point, brother. Wonderful point. And I'm sitting here like looking at how he laid out their economic ideology. And we have to understand the importance of, understanding our economic ideology. He said earlier in the chapter that, you know, the African community or the Pan-African community, we have an economic ideology. He said that's antiquated. That's right. You know what I mean? This is the root, one of the root causes of our economic problems, and then also our social problems. Because remember, economic problems also cause social problems. Right. So, and it's because of our economic ideology. But anyway, citing Lazarnik and others goes on to demonstrate that both England violated their worldviews and ideological during long crucial periods in their historical struggles to achieve international economic supremacy power. So this was so, you know, on page 494, he's laying out, I guess, their ideal economic worldview is. Free market is unpredictable, it's unplanned, right? That we're looking at the level of consumptions, on how individuals fare as consumers and how the whole world fares in the trading system, emphasize the idea that everyone can prosper. But Dr. Amos Wilson is saying, wait a minute, he's quoting follows the last nigga, they're saying, wait a minute, even though this may be the economic ideology or worldview that they propagate, right? He's saying they violated their own worldview and ideological preachments. He said during the crucial period when they were trying to come up, I'm gonna call it the come up, the economic come up. So he says that the world market in the late 18th century was so uniquely under British control. So around the 18th century, was dominating everything. And so would instead include the might of the British Navy. By driving out the French and Spanish had made it easier for British ships to dominate the trade routes. What happened to number 5 on page 494? That, you know, it emphasizes the idea that everyone can prosper, right? It's unpredictable and unplanned. But wait a minute, when Britain was on the come up, it tells us that they used their military to dominate. Okay, it says that it would involve political measures. So wait a minute, not only the military, but now it's creating policy, because we got to understand, remember, Dr. Amos Wilson told us in previous chapters that laws, he said, behind every law, there stands an entrepreneur or group that stands to benefit policies that we adhere to, right? And so, you know, he's showing us, he said time and time again throughout the Blueprint for Black Power that what the Europeans do is that they create laws and policy to protect their self-interest. So look, going back here.
Correct. So that goes back to power.
Absolutely. So the British, it says, okay, they dominated the trade routes, involved political measures that prevented the Portuguese from developing textile industries that could compete with England's. It would include the Navigation Acts, which ensured British monopoly in a number of industries the country wanted to develop most. It says the answer involved land enclosure and a host of other measures that allow British manufacturers to concentrate more capital have obtained. So they use military and they use politics to come up. All right. And at the bottom, it says the 19th century British laissez-faire. So remember the 18th century, it was like, wait a minute, we're using our military to come up. We're going to enact these laws, right? In order to rise economically, right? But he says, but in the 19th century, wait a minute, now they advocated laissez-faire, right? Meaning just let things take their course. Well, hell, I guess we could let things take their course after we're now economic world power, right? Now things can just take their course. As the 19th century British advocated laissez-faire because given the advanced economic development that their industries had already achieved, they thought that their firms could withstand open competition from foreigners. They wanted to convince other nations that they would be better off if they opened up their markets to British goods. A natural fact of life position as workshop of the world. They did not bother to ask how Britain had obtained that position. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic, y'all. Page 496.
One of the brothers.
Before we go to the 496, just before we leave, as powerful as that was, Dr. Maat, I'd be remiss if I leave this out. That he said, in a German view, economics is not a matter of right or wrong, or cheating or playing fair.
Yes.
It's merely a matter of strong or weak.
Yep, I remember reading that.
The gods of trade will help those who help themselves. No code of honor.
I was gonna read that too, brother. That was tough.
Yeah, it was.
They are brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal.
But when you gotta be when it comes to your survival. That's how we should be.
Powerful. Say it again, sis.
You gotta be brutal when it comes.
That's right.
Absolutely.
All forms of self-preservation.
There you go.
See, one thing, what they have done to us, they have conditioned us out of the one thing nature law is self-preservation. And what they're doing, they should be doing, and they should do even more to try to self-preserve their existence. And they will continue to do it and go even more extreme in their survival. That's what
absolutely, brother.
Going into the 21st century, how are we going to look as a people in regards to real survival? You know, because they already laid their finger on how they want this done. It's how we got to step in and say how we're going to contract and say we're going to step in and survive for ourselves. So no one's going to take us out. Now, I might read, because you said 496. I'm not sure where you stopped. You stopped at cited economics?
Now, if you have anything highlighted on 496, so we just read like.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll sit back. I'm not going to.
No, if you want to read, brother, you can, but we just like, you know, we point out things that we go page by page and we point out things that that kind of stuck out. But I wanted to add on to what you were saying. You know, a lot of people will say, oh, the first, you know, law of nature is self-preservation. But when they think of self, they think of self in the personal sense and not the group sense. So we've been conditioned to think that we should preserve ourselves, self meaning we need to conceive of self as a group, right? Add that we've been conditioned also, brother, to think of self. When people say self-preservation, think of self, me, myself, and I. Correct. And we need to conceive and see exactly. And that's very European. You know, we need to conceive. You know, you have to conceive of the self as an attachment to or an extension of. Okay, and that is what is African. Okay, but anyway, you go ahead and continue.
Good point.
Are we at the top of 496?
Wherever you want to start from, brother, on page 496.
All right, but the ultimate critique of 19th century laissez-faire ideology is not that it ignored the role of national power in Britain's past and present. Excuse me, I read that incorrectly. Rather, the ultimate critique is that laissez-faire failed to comprehend Britain's economic failure, a failure in which, confronted by far more powerful systems of national capitalism, the British economy would enter into a long-run relative decline from which it has yet to recover. Let's see here. America's economic history follows the same pattern. While American industry was developing, the country had no time for laissez-faire. All right. After it had grown strong, the U.S. began preaching laissez-faire. Just like you brought out, sis, about how Britain kind of fell back after it made its trillions, you know, to the rest of the world, and began to kid itself about its own history, believing its slogans about laissez-faire as the secret of its success. The quote unquote traditional American support for worldwide free trade is quite a recent phenomenon. It started only at the end of the Second World War. This period dominates the memory of most Americans now alive, but does not cover the years of America's most rapid industrial expansion. Wow. You want me to continue, or someone else want to?
I mean, he just summing up the rest of this. He just says that the great industrial successes of the past 2 centuries, America after its revolution, Germany after Bismarck, Japan after the Second World War, it says that they all violated the rules of laissez-faire. Despite the obvious differences among these countries, the underlying economic strategy was very much the same. He said he further notes that every country that has caught up with others has had to do it by rigging its rules, extract extra money from its people, and steering that money into the industrialist hands.
Exactly.
And that's the bottom line. So they go out here and they preach one thing, but they operate another way.
Right.
And so we start falling for the okie doke.
Right.
All right. So moving on, y'all. One of the brothers, let's start off the next section. Self-defeating economic ideology and trade strategy of the African-American community.
Okay, I'll go to that one. I have one question. Maybe someone can help me. Vietnam War. Which war was that? Was that the Second World War?
That was. It was never declared a war.
It was never declared a war.
Mm-mm.
Okay, what was the Second World War? Just for historical.
40s. Am I right? 40.
40.
That was a Korean War, wasn't it?
Late 30s, going to mid 40s.
Yes.
41, I believe.
Yeah, that was a Korean War, right?
I'm just trying to get some
Yeah, the Japanese.
context. Japanese.
The Japanese.
That was the Hiroshima.
When they bombed.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. I'm just trying to get a context, from when every time they do any type of war, they take it over something, some type of land, some type of resources. So I was mistaken with the Vietnam. That's when all the drugs started being pulled back into our cities as well. So I'm just trying to get and our brothers coming back, from the war, hooked on opium and other drugs. So I'm just trying to get a context of historically where we were.
Absolutely, brother.
Page 496, the self-defeating economic ideology and trade and strategy of African American community. On top of that, we have cited the example of the Anglo-American economic worldview because it's similar to many important respects to that of the current African American community. However, the actual economic or trade strategies utilized by England, U.S., and other nations during the economic ascendance and political empowerment, strategies which violated their worldview, have not been practical to any marked extent by the African American community relative to other ethnic American communities. All right, keep on page 497. Yet these other communities, whites, Koreans, Cubans, etc., have historically practiced and continue to practice such strategies relative to the African American community. They have gained economic and social ascendance at the expense of African American economic stagnation and social decline. So, if anyone wants to expand on that topic, because I know we can go about how business are infiltrated in our communities, and we don't benefit from it. But anyone else have anything else they want to expand on that?
I was just picturing a European man and an Asian man meeting for the first time, and the Asian coming here saying, I want to invest here, I want to make some money, whatever. And I could see the European man telling the Asian man, this is what you need to do. We dominate the African American community. We'll let you in on some of that. Give us some kickback off of what they move into our area, and they begin to make money knowing that we're going to, based on what the European have told them, that we're going to spend more of our money with them than with our own companies. And so boom, here he steps in and begins to, do business in our community. It is just like you just read it because, and there's other factors, of course, that leads to our economic stagnation, but because we are stagnant and the situation that we're in, they come in and they do it all the time, year by year. Now, the Hindus or whoever else, whatever they call themselves, they're moving on the territory now, selling weave to sisters. It's crazy.
Wow. I mean, who came first and out to our communities when we come into the Koreans, or was it the Jews?
The Jews.
The Jews.
Right. And then the Jews sold to the Koreans and the Asians, correct?
Yes. Right. Well, the Chinese as well. I mean, they always had those Chinese restaurants.
So really, after that,
right. If you think
after that, World War II, that's when this influx of immigrants came and levied out, our community based off, being in slums at that one time, and then they were able to capitalize off us basically by putting business and using us as the cash cow.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And you think about, brother, since you mentioned that, I think, and I conclude, I remember there was something Dr. Omar said a few years ago. After the 40s, a lot of people that were immigrants from the Italians, whoever, they were now accepted to the so-called American social order. I think during that same time, that's where, wherever the Chinese were at, they were able to come in.
Right.
And really, if you look at certain movies that depict a little bit more about us before the 40s, if anybody remember the movie called Hoodlums?
Yes.
With Bumpy Johnson?
Bumpy Johnson.
This is with who? The Italian first, but really the guy that was running the Italian was a Jewish man behind the scenes.
Exactly.
So really, it was the Jews.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And the reason why I bring that up, because I was just trying to make sure we stay on context, historical context from World War II, understanding that most of these groups here, they were condemned and they were ostracized by the American government as well. Then they was given a white pass.
That's right.
Then they condemned us. So just saying how Barbara Wilson put that in context to where we are right now. So that's like one. That's more
off what you just said, Brother T. Because other nations that do come here, this is where we're weak as Pan-Africanists, or being connected to Africa, or Africa being connected to us, because other groups can come here and they'll have the backing of their country, where unfortunately, because of our relationship or lack of relationship, and even the way Africa is so broken down by the French and the British, that we can't rely on them for military support. Whereas if you was to do something to a Chinese person over here, if they came over here to do business, you best believe China gonna have that person's back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? As a whole, it's kind of so jacked up with our relationship to our own mother continent.
Just wanted to bring one point off that, Brother Improve. If anyone remember when we first had the ban at the airports, and we had the Black Lives Matter protesters along with the immigrants who were Islamic immigrants who were not allowed at the airports. You remember when the Mexicans had issue, their government said, "Hey, we'll pay for any legal fees if anyone gets arrested based off this stand front." Nobody came up to the African Americans and said, "Well, we got your legal fees if you get locked up." So you see the difference. They still have their country's backing anytime, anywhere they are.
You know what? And I think one of the brothers brought up last week about the underground. How we do all this crime and stuff, but there's an underground even within other nations or groups, ethnic groups here in the United States that will have their backing. But we so jacked up and so twisted and backward that even if we get busted for selling drugs, brothers that were, selling drugs with them, they ain't going to bail dude out. If anything, they're going to try to get his girl, but we don't even support one another in that, let alone on a national scale trying to do something positive.
Correct. And it's funny, since talking about this, it's going to lead to the next chapter, talking about nation within the nation. But let's continue.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and continue. Who was reading? I bring the Brother T talking about economic and social ascendance.
Yes, continue on 497. We're going to the second paragraph. Along with the deliberate repression of its economic development by the white American nation and its economic openness to other non-Black communities, the African American community has permitted these communities to, while protecting their own internal markets, economically monopolize the African American markets with little or no direct cost to themselves, and with little and no real significant benefit to the African American community itself.
I don't know what's going on.
Can you mute them, whoever that is?
Yeah, I just muted somebody. Nice to have you, Brother Kevin, but I'm gonna mute your mic because you're someone was in the middle of reading, and you kind of came in a little noisy. But pleasure to have you, Brother Kevin. I give Brother Tawola Johnson a chance to finish reading the paragraph. Go ahead, Brother Tawola.
All right, I'm on page 487. I'm just going to summarize what we basically in chapter 2. If anyone had anything highlighted and want to add to it, basically in this part of the page, the chapter 2, it's basically saying how America repressed the African American community, and the free market attitude of the African American community enables these communities to build social and economic walls around their domestic markets to protect and retain the income gained from their business earnings received from the Black community. So basically, they allowed other markets, other ethnic groups to come in, and then what they allow them to do is not put back into the community. So they can set up shop, make their money, and they don't have to really do anything to keep that community or revive that community.
Absolutely.
Which is not good, and we have to definitely change that dynamics. Do anyone have anything they want to add?
Well, it is what they call a parasite type of thing. They suck it off and leave it.
Like a leech. Like a leech.
Right. They don't allow you to be a part of their economies or their markets.
No.
Exactly. And I remember bringing up a point some time ago about K-Grow. Sister Dr. Maat, remember you mentioned the Korean market that's here in Baltimore. And I'm sure they have associations all over.
Oh yeah.
Even though we may not see them protesting, we may not see them out there marching, but they secretly meet with our politicians and our pastors, and they give donations. They secretly give what they want. So when things need to pass, or we may want to boycott their stores, they can secretly call Miss Joanne Conway or our mayor or our governor, like, hey, I need y'all to take care of this. Because we may demand as residents in that neighborhood that they do something to help us out. But secretly, they may have went to the back door and took care of politicians and, and people who could help them move things along because they pay taxes. So we have to be real careful and be aware that what these things that may happen and challenge our elected officials and make sure we grassroots the asses out of there. But,
absolutely.
Anytime they're talking that intersectionality and all people stuff, they've been bored.
Yep.
When there's no agenda. Speaking of just African Americans here, it's all people.
Especially when you like Detroit, a 90% black city, and you're not talking about our interests. Something going on.
Yeah.
Yes, going on, no doubt. But we have Brother Kevin. Thank you for joining us, brother. I muted your mic, but I know you joined because obviously you have something to say, something to add to the conversation, brother. So you go ahead and unmute your mic, brother, and tell us what's on your mind, brother.
Peace and blessings. How you doing?
Peace.
Good, brother. How about yourself?
Peace, brother.
Peace.
One of the things I have to say, and I don't have the book. I've been sleeping up at by Brother Wilson. I do have several of his other books, but the theory, and I like to call it the theory of white supremacy, is just that. And a lot of people don't understand when I say the theory because they have to implement it. Right. And what needs to take place amongst us is that we need to understand that without implementation, they can't do nothing about it. And like the brother was saying, we need to vote these people out, grassroots vote these people out. We need more people just to run. We need to saturate the political races within the community. Some of you just need to run and galvanize as many people as you can to get out there and vote. Because until then, they'll be able to implement their white racist, their theory of white supremacy. And this whole Donald Trump thing was all about economics. Because he had to come in and steal the show. He had to come in and steal what Obama and his team created. This upward trajectory of economics. And so it was, I like to say, Custer's last stance. They know the demographic shift. They know the browning of the United States has occurred. They have done everything they could to kind of postpone that. Crack, whatever drug you want to say, incarceration of brothers from ages 14 or 34, the most productive age in the community. So you're extracting all of these people. You're extracting ideas. You're extracting work ethic. You're extracting a lot, just ingenuity. And I think any of you could probably think about a brother who might be in the game And the brothers are highly intelligent, just never directed right. Right? Didn't ever have that direction. And so I may be all over the place with this, but
no, it's good.
The thing that I think Brother Wilson was talking about, and I haven't read the book, but just knowing his work and knowing what he stood for, I just think that we have that ability. And
Brother, you said you haven't read the book?
I have not read the book yet.
Oh my, okay, all right.
But we
Hey, Brother Kevin, someone in the chat is saying your mic is low. Could you turn your mic up?
yeah, let me see. I have never done this, so I'm trying to figure out how to turn this mic up.
You'll see a icon on top of with the mic, the camera, the mic, the screw wrench, and the hang up.
If you move your cursor.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that now.
You know, it's simple tech stuff.
I'm no techie.
But what you were saying is on point, bro.
Well, it's just coming from reading other people, and maybe I could just get a little closer to the computer, but it's just coming from reading other people and just studying, just living life and seeing things. It's just common sense that the issues in our community, we're dealing with issues here in Winston. I'm in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Dealing with issues right now where the gentrification is happening big time. They dropped about $1.2 billion for Wake Forest to develop downtown. When I first moved here to Winston-Salem from Connecticut, downtown was a ghost town. And I think, as many of you know about the downtowns of
You're from Connecticut?
I'm from Connecticut. I'm from New Britain, Connecticut, born in Hartford.
Hartford? Okay, cool.
Sure. And so one of the things that they're doing down here is moving out these black people. Gentrification. They're moving us out. They're using black faces. They're using
right
as the guys and say, hey, it'll be great for you. We're gonna have enough places for you. But there's a recent study that just came out that said they're gonna be 8,000 units short for affordable housing in the next 5 years.
Wow.
Right. And they're gonna have 4,000 surplus units for luxury housing in the same community that they're talking about. And so the thing is that we as a people need to come together. We need, as a collective, self-preservation, as a sister was talking about, as a collective, we need to figure out, and we need to educate our people. We need to get into the communities. Me and some brothers are organizing some young brothers and from the college and from the community to get out there, to go to the elementary schools, reach out to the people, have community chats with the people, see what they need, do an assessment of what their skill sets are, what they want in life, and try to direct them, try to connect them to resources. We got brothers who know how to write grants. If those brothers who don't know how to write grants, they know people who know how to write grants. And just getting people involved and making them fit, or getting them to understand to get in where they fit in with their skills.
Absolutely, brother. But let me ask you a question, because this is what we're what are your thoughts on taking control of the internal markets in the Black community? Because I don't want to get off track because we got about 40 minutes left. But that's where we are right now, talking about taking control of our internal markets in the Black community. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a no-brainer. We got to do it.
Absolutely.
It's we have to find the people that are willing to do it. We have to help the people understand that they're going to the traditional route. If there's no resources within the collective to finance these aspirations, these businesses, and things of that nature, then they're going to have to go the traditional route to go and get those business loans. And in order to get a business loan or get a I guess an empowerment zone grant, they're looking at your credit report, they're looking at your credit history. So we got to figure out how to financially educate these people as well. So it's a long game plan.
Yeah.
We could do the short game and a long game and work them both at the same time, because there are people that are ready. There are people ready with the ideas, people ready with the credit. People who, and those people might not have the know-how to develop a business plan. So there has to be people in the community to help them develop those business plans. So, going to going to that college in your community. Most colleges, whether white or black, have some type of clinic where they're going to help people develop business plans. Most cities in the inner city have some type of opportunity within the city government.
And they waiting for someone to come out to ask for their assistance.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me?
They're definitely waiting for someone to come out and ask for assistance.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, they have about I think I heard just the other day about $8.5 million in empowerment zone money for businesses here in Winston-Salem for minority businesses. Now, the thing about minority, you're going to have those white women taking advantage.
Right.
Those
right.
Dollars,
exactly, right? And the Mexicans and
right. Well, that's what it's got to be something that's allocated specifically.
Right.
Right.
Minority is too broad of a word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have to stop letting them do that to us. That's one of their tricks.
Yeah. Fronts for their husbands, right? Those white women front for their husbands.
Exactly.
Right.
I sit on the Minority Women in Business Entrepreneurship Committee for the city of Winston, and so they have these these quotas in which they have to meet. These contractors who get city money have to have these quotas. And so you know, we're talking about you have to have minority women, minority male, black male business, or
right.
And all these white women-owned businesses who are fronts for their husbands, and so they
yes, you're right. Yes, you're right.
Exactly.
All the dollars, and they're claiming that there's not enough. They're claiming that there is not enough trained brothers and sisters who do the work, and so that's another area that we can help develop. You know, lobby the community colleges, lobby someone.
That's right.
Develop programs. If we know people in the community who have those skill sets to train people how to build.
Right. Well, that's the partnership that comes in hand, Brother Kevin, with understanding your community where you are, knowing how many people in your community are unemployed, and knowing the demographics of who are unemployed. So when you go to the colleges or go to the other institutions, you can say, okay, we have 4,500 black men in this area that need jobs. So when you say 4,500 black men and black women, you don't have to worry about that money being allocated to that white organization. And then you go to that black university and say, how can you help us with these 5,000 people? It has to be done in this fashion, or it will be allocated to other groups.
Right.
You have to be.
And I'm gonna just do this briefly. I'm gonna give the mic to someone else. But here in Winston-Salem, you know, we have Winston-Salem State University. I'm employed at Winston-Salem State University. There's development of a center for the study of economic mobility. It's led by a white man. Understand? He's an economist. He works at the school. But his interest is not in really helping the community. His interest is in studying the community. The community's already been studied. We know where the shortfalls are. We know what the needs of the community are. And he got money from Thurgood Marshall, who got money from the Koch brothers. Right. So that's about $3 million, I think he has. And so he's sparingly putting that money out there in type of research grants for faculty, some staff, whoever have ideas and try to do things. But it's just collecting data. There's no action. Hopefully that data will turn into action at some point in time. But you know, it takes leadership at the university as well. It takes the vision of the chancellor and whoever else have in upper administration who have the power to kind of direct the university and its employees in the way of social justice.
Right.
And see, brother. Yeah, but brother, see, a lot of that stuff that you're talking about, like getting the participation from colleges and universities and organizations, Dr. Amos Wilson touched on that. And I forgot which chapters, Brother T, when he talked about like funding and getting universities and everybody on board with developing the skills of the members of the community. So Dr. Amos Wilson actually talks a lot about what you're talking about, Brother Kevin, in this book. We need to get it, Brother Kevin, and we have one copy left.
You can send that copy to him.
One copy left of Blueprint for Black Power. It has been signed by Sababu, who is the editor and publisher and also former business person, business partner of Dr. Amos Wilson. One copy.
I want that copy.
No more signed copies after this. One more copy. That's it.
I want that copy.
Yeah, but you got to get that copy, brother. Just go Lili La Poete Speaks. I'll send you the link. And you can order it right from our website and we'll ship it on out to you, okay?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Because we got like 30 minutes and we have like 13 pages. So we need to kind of just summarize these pages. But I do want to end this section by reading the last paragraph or the last sentence. I'm sorry. 7. Where he says, consequently, immigrant communities which have integrated with the Black community only to the degree to which they can economically exploit it are in the position of gaining unprecedented opportunities in internal markets of the community and its consumers without having to pay share of costs for resolving its social economic troubles and advancing its social political interests. I thought that was very powerful, as you stated, Brother T, that they come into the communities, they establish these businesses, but they aren't vested in these communities. They aren't vested in these communities. They take the money, go and they empower, their communities. And so we got to run these foreigners out of there. They're nothing but parasites and bad guys. Got to run them out of there. So the next section is lessons of history. Can someone summarize this section? Lessons of history. Mr. Camille, haven't heard from you, sis. Let's kind of comb through.
All right. Well, what I do have highlighted is basically page 500 and the bulletins.
Oh, no, sis. We got 97, 98, and 99. Do you have anything on those pages? Because we're going to read a bullet.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
We're at the bottom of 97, lessons of history.
Okay. Right at where it says, well, actually, let's do 490. Can we do 498? Because I wanted to get from the paragraph that says the historical evolution.
Okay.
Okay. The historical evolution and exercise of national power, which allow newcomer nations, as once was the U.S. and as are currently the collective capitalist nations of Asia, to achieve economic ascendance dependent on the strategic organization and development of their national political economies and ability impetuous to provide critical protection of and support for their fledgling industries and businesses. And we weren't able to, protect the industries that we created. A lot of our, we had our towns and our industries that were either burnt down or as of today, many of the things that we create are, infiltrated and controlled by other groups.
That's right.
So
very good.
This permitted them to block outsiders from wholesale entry into and exploitation markets and resources. And I bring this point up a lot to our people, because they're always saying, oh, well, we have to, people too, and blah, blah, blah. And I always say to them, but what industries of other cultures do we control and dominate in, and they're not able to participate in? They can't answer that question. Because I'm like, what you're doing is you're putting yourself up for the slaughter because
exactly.
you're allowing people to come in because you're going for the okie doke. You're going for this. They put this whole image out or message out that, you have to love everybody and all this kind of stuff. But that's not what's going on when you're dealing with other cultures and Black people. They're sucking us dry. And we're not allowed to participate in anything that they have.
And also,
by making the bulk of their resources exclusively available to their enterprises, they enabled them to challenge or overcome their competitors. These nations, at some critical point in their evolutionary history, sought to protect and preserve their home markets for their own firms and protect them during their early developmental stages from more mature. They sought to provide them with an appropriately trained and motivated managerial and labor force, as well as privileged, if not exclusive, productive human and financial resources. Privileged access to productive human resources refers to a situation where well-trained, experienced, skilled, and or highly educated workers commit their goods and services to the use of particular business organizations of currently available market opportunities to reap returns, with the hope of reaping even larger returns in the future for having so committed themselves. And that's what I had highlighted on that page.
Absolutely, sis. Sis, I just want to add this, you know, that was beautifully summarized. I just want folks to understand that these nations that rise to, you know, economic and social power, they, you know, we just got to remember they adopted these strategies, right? That it says that dependent on organizational coordination, right, supported by educational institutions, communication networks, financial systems, research and development organizations, right, which generated their productive human and material resources. Then they also had, it says privileged access.
That's right.
So this is how they did it. So go ahead and continue, sis. $4.99.
That big point right there at the end that gave motivation to the rest of the people. It gave privilege access to the resources.
That's right.
The money. I mean, the money. When you have opportunity to have the capital, you can get the business.
Absolutely.
You motivate the rest of the population by having that.
That's right.
You know, and that leads to the book that I like to mention, The Color of Money, The Black Banks and the Race Wealth Gap.
Yes.
And this book right here basically stressed what Dr. Amos Wilson said at the bottom of 498. So
what's the name of that book?
It's called
The Color of Money.
The Color of Money.
Color of Money.
Black Banks and the Racial Wealth Gap.
And who's that by?
God, well, people may mess her name up. Mahersha Bharadhan. I might mess her name up. But if you look up the name, and basically she says we haven't had access to the resources. That's why we can't do what we need to do. We need access to our money, and we need that capital in order to build our communities. And she said that we've been systematic shut out.
Got it right here.
So we definitely need that. So Barbara Wilson said that was 1995. We definitely see it in 2018. And we need to have access to that in order for us to move forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Financial and human resources. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Page 499, the third line. Now this is, Black people, listen up. Here we go. One way of enhancing national or communal savings and investments may be the reduced consumption of and refusal to purchase the goods and services provided by outside nations and communities. Hello, that's a lesson that we.
All right, Miss, can you read that again? Read that again, because I think people listen good.
One way, I'm gonna hold the book up too. One way of enhancing national or communal savings and investments may be the reduced consumption, meaning less, of and refusal to purchase the goods and services provided by outside nations and communities, damn it. Subsequently investing and utilizing the savings accumulated in the development of one's own national, the self, your group, your collective.
That's right. That's right, sis.
Of one's own national or communal enterprises and derive from them their increasing output of goods and services.
Mm-hmm. So he's basically saying spend your money with your self-interest, right?
Exactly.
You know, saying you consumer power to advance your self-interest.
And reduce the consumption, you know, of spending all your money with other groups of people that don't care anything about you.
Your desire, your what do you call it? Your taste. You have to get that under control.
That's
just
right.
Like our nation will sit there and spend money on black business because they got control of their desire and taste.
That's right.
You go out the way, and that's why you look at why you think a lot of communities still keep that's not part of race, keep their communities afloat in regards to the money. Keep it in house.
That's right.
And that's what Clark.
Absolutely.
And that's what Amos said.
That's right.
All right. So let's take a bullet on page. Let's go to page 500, sis.
All right.
Let's take a number per. Well, it's 7 of us on this panel, so let's read two numbers per person. Yeah, let's rock and roll.
Okay, go ahead, Sister Camille. Kick it off. 2 bullets.
Okay.
Number 2.
I think it's important to read the paragraph before the bulletin because it kind of, leads you into it.
Go ahead.
A review of alien or immigrant entrepreneurs indicates that economic mechanisms such as we have just described were utilized effectively to gain and sustain their economic monopoly of African-American community markets. Hence, in its effort to gain control over its own internal markets and to compete successfully in larger national and international markets, the African-American community must utilize similar mechanisms on its own behalf. It must therefore, number 1, perceive itself as a nation among nations in America.
That's right.
And organize itself and act according to its own national plans.
Read
another one.
This.
Okay, number 2, develop its human resources. Develop its human resources appropriate to its achieving national goals and most superior extent. It must commit as much as practically possible to the exclusive and creative use of its developing enterprises and collective economy.
3, reduce its consumption as much as practically possible of the goods and services produced and sold by other communities, while increasing its consumption of those goods and services produced at its own members, by its own members and organizations. So Sister Alima says this a lot. She's like, look, we try to buy black, like basically try to buy black as much as you can. You're going to have to go outside of the community, right? I guess your needs or your wants by other people, but try to, spend black as much as you can, right? So he's saying right here, reduce your consumption. Reduce your consumption of goods and services produced by your own people. Savings by reducing consumption of extra communal goods and services and by engaging in prudent, productive investment strategies, depositing and investing monies in community-owned financial institutions by utilizing traditional modes of savings and investments, such as the SUSU. We talked about that in earlier chapters, and cooperative saving arrangements. It must in turn use those savings to invest in and finance its economic growth and development and to increase its individual and communal wealth.
All right. Protect its fledgling economy and enterprise from alien competition, though not in ways which reinforce economic efficiency in its own business and service institutions, but in ways which allow them to accumulate the necessary resources and highly efficient organization to compete in the open market. The community should know, as does Lake, that protection is not necessarily a sign of domestic political failure. Both protection and free trade are legitimate and effective instruments to be used in national advantage. We should not allow an economic ideology to bind us to this historical and deeply political reality. Number 6, pursue protection and export expansion. The community and its relevant institutions must discover and develop routinized ways of exporting and importing goods and services throughout the African diaspora, Latin America, Asia, and North Africa. Local export in the U.S. involves manufacturing, wholesaling, distributing, and retailing in general, American market, selling professional services and job skills in the general market, and returning the income gained from these outside activities to the community received and expended there with community-owned enterprise and institutions. Page 501.
It must therefore found international corporations which include Africans from various countries and which operate in 2 or more African diaspora nations. Investments in these nations should be rapidly increased along with the establishing of numerous enterprises therein. Portfolio investment, i.e. the purchasing of shares in African corporations and other enterprises, should become a well-known, well-practiced tradition. Enhance, into institutional investments in important non-African multinational corporations, in startup and growing corporations likely to have important impact on African lives and nations. Ashe. These investments should be significantly large enough to influence their trade and economic policies in favorable ways. Point number 8, continue to found small niche companies, for these companies are the engines of economic growth and employment in America. Continue to apply strong political and consumer pressure to gain set-asides and other preferences for Black-owned enterprises. Have no fear of demanding such preferences as forms and reparations for African peoples who endured the concentration camps of America. Beautiful.
Someone, Sister Alima or Brother Chaos?
Become the most educated and best trained group in America and the world, demand equal and preferential employment at all levels of American industry in the name of African ancestry, not as a person of color or as a minority. Be self-centered, as the development and utilization of human resources are the sources of the value of all other resources, are the foundational sources of all other human powers. Heavy investments in the productive capabilities of its members are of the utmost importance to the African community. Be actively aware of the fact that competitive advantage and economic growth and expansion are now being driven by the planned coordination of individuals and groups of teams who participate in divisions of labor within business organizations and chartered coordination of economic activities across business organizations. While African-owned firms may compete against each other, they must not let such competition constrain cooperation among themselves for developing their national industries, gaining competitive advantages as industries, and achieving the common interests of the community.
The development of parties, corporate, economic, whenever appropriate. African entrepreneurs must become keen students and practitioners of corporate organization and economics. They must master the art of forming virtual corporations, developing operational, efficient joint ventures and strategic alliances, temporary networks of companies which rapidly organize amongst themselves to take advantage of fast opportunities. I'm here, background noise. Communicational and informational networks which facilitate their working together to begin and finish a mutual projects. Each companies bring its own core competence to their joint efforts, building a mutual interdependency, trust, and a sense of co-destiny. In their relationship and demonstration of willingness is across the traditional boundaries and borders of legal district, but interestingly, or irrelative companies. Be willing to challenge conventions and traditions, assume risk, and reconstruct conceptualize customary and accepting rules or routines. Develop a horizontal corporation. If they lead to the generation of productive internal and external economies, that is, reduce hierarchies, structures by utilizing coordination teams of equal status, organized around processing for achieving specific performance and product goals.
Sister Camille, close us out, sis.
Number 13, invest heavily in the development of the community's productive capabilities, individual and organizational members as prerequisites to stable and remunerative employment. Number 14, Community members must thoroughly prepare themselves to work for and succeed in both for-profit and nonprofit organizations and powerfully entrenched governmental and private agencies in the nation and world. They must also invest in their own enterprises and financial institutions, as well as those of others, as a way of best positioning themselves to gather intelligence, earn a high standard of living, and maximally exercising power in the interest of the community.
All right.
Wow. Well, Sister Alima, it's 8:50. I don't think, sis, we're going to be able to comb through chapter 21, A Nation Within a Nation. I mean, it's only 13 pages, but I mean, what are your thoughts, sis? It's up to you. I mean, I'm good.
You want to go ahead and finish it?
I mean, we can if we all don't stop, and you know, people might want to expound on things. And
I think we should. And given the chapter is just due, do it next week.
Yeah, do it the right way. Okay.
There's some powerful information in this one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I wouldn't mind at least reading the first page, or do you guys just want to save it? To save the quotes from Ken Clark and
let's
read the first page. I mean, it's deep.
Absolutely. That first.
I mean, I'm just saying, if we're not going to read it, then there's no point starting.
Just save it.
Okay, we just leave it then.
We can just end a good note on this powerful chapter we just read.
Yeah, man, this was a extremely powerful chapter. I walked away with just understanding that we need to take control of our internal markets,
right,
and start organizing, man. You know, organizing, shifting out economic ideology, right? Take control of our internal markets and reducing our consumption with other people. That's kind of what I really took away from this, and then also the know-how of how these different ethnic groups and nations ascended, you know, to economic and social power. So the know-how, and so I mean, it was deep, like you said. This whole thing, this whole chapter. I mean, I had virtually every page highlighted.
One question. How would you suggest us to our first move and removing, or maybe not removing, that's maybe a little violent, but to change the dynamics of our neighborhood in 3 steps? What would you suggest the first 3 things be for us to regain our communities economic wise?
Well, Brother T, this is what I was actually just talking to my family about earlier today. You already know about my sons. Well, I don't even want to announce that. Okay, so you already know about the death and all of that that's going on with them, and so you got inheritance and stuff like that down the line. And so I'm not going to disclose anything on YouTube. But what I will say is that we were thinking about opening a storefront, right in the community, right in Baltimore City somewhere. Find a nice little community where we open up a convenience store, or maybe like a supermarket, a small little mini market, right? And put one of those Chinese folks out of business. I'm talking about literally open up a business right there and go around the community, encourage the community to support our business and tell them why. And then also show them that when you support us, we give back. So when you support us, within X amount of years, you'll have a recreation center in this community. Within X amount of years, we'll be building a school right here. Right. Within X amount of years, we'll be repairing some of these homes and making them affordable for people in the community. I mean, you get what I'm saying? Just showing them what we can do. One thing, brother T, I think Black folks need to see that it can be done. So I think the first thing is going into these communities and establish a business, start hiring some of those brothers off of the blocks, off of the corners, get them in there working, and doing things, and put one of those Chinese or Asian businesses out of business. We want them out of the community, but we had to replace them. Right.
Gotta give them something. That's right.
But if we run them out of community, then what do we have?
And you took the words right out of my mouth, because there's certain things from other cultural groups that we enjoy, and in order to combat that and to stop them from, because you could shut down a Chinese spot, but they'll just go to the one up the street. So
Absolutely.
in order to combat that, how do you counteract that? And you have to replace it, like you said, with something just as equal that they enjoy.
Right.
Absolutely.
Competition is the blood bone. So that's one thing that Barbara Wilson talked about, and that's one thing that we read on page 494 was that competition. They believe in competition, and they also believe in taking you out if need be. So that's the reason why I wanted to just add a 3-point plan how you would gain back the economic viability to our communities with Black owned. So that was a good.
Absolutely. I mean, establish businesses, and then also try to get the community support.
That's what I was about to say. That's the first step, is community involvement.
Yeah, definitely. Community involvement. Establish a business. And what would you all say the third one would be?
Basically making sure that the people in that community are able to benefit economically by having employment, and also training for the next store to come into fruition.
Right.
Brother Kevin would, if he can answer this one. Anytime you put a business in any neighborhood, you have to have a petition of the residents.
Right.
You have to get a certain number of the residents to sign prior to you getting that business. You have to take to, if it's a neighborhood association or whatever office they have. So for anything to develop, you would have to get the community support. So with that initiative would definitely be a plus, especially if you tell them that we're here to employ, we're here to train, and we're here to open up more that you can benefit from. So
we say, okay, so you said 3-point program. We're talking about community support, garnering community support, 2, establishing a business, and 3, developing the community.
Correct.
All right. I like that 3-point. I like that 3-point program.
Education.
And if I could add about the business piece, if there is because what we fail to do, what the Chinese do very well, what the Muslims do very well, is that they pool resources with family members, with friends, or what have you. And so there needs to be some type of consortium of Black businesses. So if you're going to open a convenience store, where's the closest Black convenience store to you? Talk to them people and say, listen, let's figure out a way that we can make our money work for ourselves, so we can buy in much more bulk, so we can give these goods to the people at a price that's not going to be that barrier to them. Because though they'll go into the Chinese restaurant or Chinese business or to the Muslim business and buy whatever they sell at that price,
right?
They're going to say that you cost too much.
That's right.
Right.
They have said that. They're going to say you cost too much. So we got to figure out how do we make the price point doable for them, not without taking any opportunity for us to generate revenue and things of that nature, but find a happy medium for them that we can make money, break even, or have profit, but in addition, to giving them what they need. But that's distortion.
But the thing is, with a lot of businesses, is that the first few years you don't make that much money, and we have to realize that. I think in Black businesses, we don't understand that. We think that you open business, we're supposed to just automatically make money, and the way that it works is you have to play towards that price point of your competitor, because you can't be a brand new business with a high ass price point selling the same merchandise. I'm going to go to Walmart, and that's just economically feasible for me. That's no shade to you, so we have to consider that when we open businesses, and I don't think often that we do, because, which I understand, we're trying to survive, but at the same time, businesses is up and down. Some years you're good, some years you're great, some years you're not doing at all.
I mean, it's documented that, because I have an MBA, and it's documented that the average business doesn't break even for 3 years.
Exactly.
You have to beat that goal.
And think about it. So some businesses don't even survive the first 2 years. So if you don't break in 3 years, that obviously
some don't even make it.
That tells right there, say you're fighting a very struggling battle. But at the end of the day, it's better to take on that fight.
That's right.
Just don't take it at all.
That's right.
That's exactly what I did. I set all my prices when I started selling on Amazon. It was a lot of competitors. I just set everything at the break even. I wanted to get volume and people buying my product and knowing who I was. So I set everything to break even for the first year.
That name recognition as well.
Get the name recognition. Now I got the volume that I want. But I said set everything to break even. I didn't lose any money. Some I might have lost like 50 cents. But I got the volume going before I start trying to hit people with higher prices.
Exactly,
exactly right.
But the point as like Brother Kevin was saying, if we combine our resources,
exactly,
if we combine the business, it would be beautiful that Sister Alima, being an author, being a poet, it would be beautiful if Dr. Maat was the printer. So all she had to do is just it'd be easier because we'd be in the community.
Exactly.
And it wouldn't be to the point that she had to send it off to somebody else, package it and picture it. And you know what I'm saying? So we have to kind of make sure that we're not in competitive business with each other.
Right.
But we're building a business structure that's helping each other's bottom line and also production. Yes.
Exactly.
There you go.
And one thing I would like to see most of our people need to start doing now. We also gotta look what is really needed, because one thing I know.
Just said that, didn't we, sis? Last week we were just talking about that, brother.
Yeah, about if we look at, we have an influx of the same business.
Yeah,
nothing's wrong with that, but really we have to diversify and
no more T-shirts.
Yeah, if we look at the Irish Black community, and we all know we see this because we all live around Black communities. I hope that there's a whole influx of barbershops.
That's right.
They do well.
yeah. That too. And look at, and when I look at other things that's needed, like gas station, very see little.
Right.
I see the control, so obviously that's a need that we got to pursue. And other things that's necessity. I think if there's any, and there's probably need one more of those again, because books are essential, because our children need a place where they can sit there and then get a chance to read and do a safe haven for them to do their work and stuff. So
and I'm glad you said that. So the one of the things that needs to be done, which a lot of Black folks don't do, and even the people who come in and start businesses, they do based on basic needs: food, clothing, and shelter. They're gonna give you food all day. They're gonna give you clothes all day.
Right.
Correct.
So what we don't do is do extensive market study.
That's right.
What the needs of the community are. I think if we took on that initiative as in our respective communities to see what those needs are, we wouldn't have to try to compete with those other people, because we'll have something that they don't have, and we master everything else. So we just got to do that. We just got to. It's leg work. It's intense, but you have to do it. You have to do that market study to see it. See if that business that you're thinking about is going to survive, because you might have to tweak it a little bit.
That's right.
I agree.
Camille was talking about the education, and I know that's very important. My passion is psychology. I know there's a consciousness that needs to happen in our people, and it's a daily uphill battle. Yes, but we definitely change the consciousness of our people. I mean, we're just, because even if you do buy Black, are you buying Black? Even though you give that dollar, but the mindset, continuing mindset of supporting Black because we want to invest in our community and pride. Yeah, exactly. So that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you 200% on that. That we need to transform the consciousness of our people. That's why folks need to be tuning into the resurgence of the African mind. We're talking about reestablishing African consciousness within African people, learning about ourselves and how the world works. That's what it's all about, and seeing the world through the lenses of the lenses of our African ancestors. And so that's why I always bang on the Bible. I'm not going to lie. I don't do a lot of it online. I do it here and there, because the Bible, has us practicing a culture that is anti-African.
Yes.
Say it.
And when you practice when you're practicing a culture that is anti-African, it weakens the African self-consciousness, right? It weakens the African self-consciousness, And also, and I lost my train of thought because I was going somewhere else. But you understand what I mean. You know what I mean? So we gotta get back to thinking and perceiving as African people, man. And so that's why I wish we had, thousands of people, should be tuning into the resurgence of the African mind. But it is what it is. We're gonna get out there one day.
Not only that, but even going through that Bible or this religion that we follow, it actually leads you to death. Not only the physical, but the spiritual and mental.
Absolutely.
Just death. I mean, cause think about it, this thing does not give no life, but other races could, and they fall under the same thing, but they already know their identity. Us, because it's not dealing based on culture and what we are, it actually leads to stagnation, and with stagnation will lead to death. So it's doing its work, and it's supposed to do its work to raise that. That's why it's hard to fight certain things.
I'm glad you said that, because I wanted to say that when the African self-consciousness is weakened, then that's when you are you're culturally misoriented at that point.
That's right.
Yeah. Self-consciousness. That's what I meant to say, that the Bible is, I was trying to get my thoughts together, Sister Lima, but I got it. I want to say that the Bible teaches and enforces a culture that is anti-African.
Exactly.
And practicing a culture that is anti-African, it weakens the African self-consciousness, and you're more prone to cultural misorientation.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I always like to say, go ahead.
Got that from this book right here. Beautiful book to have.
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful book to have.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, beautiful book to have. I'm on page 75 right now. Wait a minute. Yes, I'm on page 75 right now.
Okay.
Yeah, beautiful book to have.
Who's it written by?
Dr. Kamban. He's the brother. We're going to be reading a few of his books.
That's my cat. That's my cat right there.
Yeah. Sister Lima suggested that we go from, after we read Blueprint for Black Power, she and I were talking about, and of course, I want the panel to weigh in, but in Blueprint for Black Power, Dr. Amos Wilson constantly talks about re-Africanizing ourselves. So what does it mean to become African again? So we were thinking about either going here with Afrocentricity, right, by Dr. Malife Asante, or going here, the African personality in America by Dr. Kamban.
Yeah.
So
I like that, Dr. Kamban. Yeah, I read that a long time ago, Brother Asante. He's good too, though.
So just trying to, we'll figure it out. We'll definitely figure it out. And then also, we're in the belly of the beast, so we definitely want to understand the psychology of the Yoruba, right?
Exactly.
Ooh, that's the book right there.
That's
right.
Yeah, I read that book.
We got to. I think first we got to figure out ourselves and get our personalities together before we get into Yoruba, because Lord knows
that's a heavy read. That's a heavy read.
Yes, and we're gonna be able to get some autographed Yoruba books too. But everybody gonna be on deck then, sis. Now just wait. Let me get the Yoruba and Mama Marimba and E. Those signatures. Everybody's gonna want one then.
Yeah, that's a powerful. I mean, just a breakdown.
20 years. Yeah. She was a huge fan of Dr. Wilson's too.
Yes, she was.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, man, because I just the way a lot of us don't understand who we're dealing with out here.
No, we don't.
So that's why we make all these crazy mistakes. That's why we support them in their businesses and bring them into our world. And we don't understand that. We don't understand their psychology, how they think. And so, we're at a disadvantage when you don't understand your enemy.
But Sister Camille, check this out. We're learning this through the resurgence of the African mind. What?
We're trying to bring them around. And I always say, if you and your oppressor have the same God, whose prayers does your God answer?
Whose prayers?
My God, that's all right. Yeah, does your God answer? It's always
right. Who's gonna answer, the oppressor or you?
Yeah, and make sure it's not no low spirit. It could be one of them, that old caucasoid that we talking to. Whisper me. I say
we probably could have read those chapters, Sister Lima. We probably could have read chapter 21.
We sitting here doing that's my point, brother. I know it because y'all know I could have busted through that chapter in 10 minutes. Y'all playing.
Yeah, you know she could. Sister Lima would have went through. Boom on his page. She's talking about this. Boom on his page. She's talking. Oh man, I'm telling you, that's my babe right there. But look, y'all. So let's close on out. Where can folks find you, Sister Alima? Talk about your book. Matter of fact, let me get your book out because I know your butt don't have it to show.
I'm about to say, you know, it's on the bookshelf.
It's on my bookshelf too. I keep it close. That's why I was able to pull it.
Yes, family. Perceptions of a Misplaced African is available at lililapoetespeaks.com. It's the same link that you click on to join the panel or to be in the active discussion. You just go on to the Money Market and you just pick your copy. You can pick up the last copy of Blueprint for Black Power if Brother Kevin doesn't get it. And you can also pick up some mail track while you're there. Once again, I'm Lily La Poete Speaks. Thank you guys for joining us. Join us next week for chapter 21, right, family?
That's right.
In the nation. All right.
Get your copies of Mel Trek episode 1 in. I got it upside down. Says, look, get your copy of Mel Trek episode 1 and Mel Trek episode 2.
Yes.
To start controlling the images that our children are exposed to. You know, we say that we're conscious, but then we sit them in front of the television to watch Disney, Nickelodeon, and Pixar and Cartoon Network. And I got to be honest, a lot of those cartoons, I'm not saying that you can't find any good cartoons on these networks, but a lot of the cartoons that I've been seeing as of lately are embedded with a lot of social and political messages that I don't necessarily agree with. Teach their own.
I agree.
Teach their own. But some of these political and social messages I do not agree with. And so, you know, we as a people, man, we have to control the images that our children are exposed to.
Right.
I believe it was Dr. Leonard Jeffries who said that whoever controls the image controls your self-esteem, your self-respect, and your self-dignity. So with that being said, family, we have to control the images that our children see. DVDs are so antiquated, so you can go right to our website and watch Mel Trek right away. The digital downloads are available. But, you know, some people still rock with DVDs. I know I do, but then some people prefer the digital download. So you can go right to adanimeproductions.com and download the film. Again, Mel Trek episode 1, Mel Trek episode 2. If you don't know how to spell adanimeproductions.com, just simply go to Google, the search bar, type in Mel Trek, and all of the links to purchase it or to watch clips will populate. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic.
Oh, real quick, y'all, shameless plug. Go to pantherwear.com. Get you some pantherwear.com. Get you some jackets, some hats, family. Yes. Pantherwear.com. Go ahead, sis.
Check this out, Pantherwear.
Right.
Yeah, let me pull it up. Go ahead.
This is exactly why I'm not.
I am Camille Gaynor Jones, and I'm grateful to be here with the panel every week. And hey, sonics is very important. What your children listen to, the music that they're exposed to.
Yes.
And music in general, as far as a tool to opening the mind, as far as playing an instrument, there is nothing like it. And that's a part of our culture that has also been neglected and taken away from us. So if you have any youth that want, you know, I'm a drummer, I'm a professional drummer, and this is my instructional DVD. And I also have a CD out called The Adventures of dr.maat.msu. We got some Fred Hampton on there, and you got, you know, some positive music, some uplifting music, you know, to uplift our souls instead of all the denigrating music we have now. Yeah. So you can check it out on www.camille.com, either in a hard format or digital.
Absolutely.
And,
oh, sorry.
Huh?
I was just going to say, sis, I love what you do. I have to go online and purchase. I want to get the digital download. Sister Alima told me we can go right to your website and purchase your music. We have to support stuff like this because, like you said, music and imagery, all of that stuff shapes our consciousness. Yeah. All of it. And so we got to.
I was just gonna say that's part of why we're all up out here too. The music is anti-African. though it has
Absolutely.
African
And
faces.
anti-life too. And think about it. China and hip hop.
They sure did.
So
I
why
don't
would
even
they ban it?
hip hop. I don't call that hip hop.
Well, you know.
I don't call it hip hop.
Yeah, well,
Because it's no longer controlled by us. The lyrics and things. Those are, you know, the dominant culture telling the artist what to sing about, what to rhyme about.
Absolutely.
And you know, when the music was, you know, about Afrocentricity, that's when you didn't have as many of the dominant culture listening to me. They gotta listen to African empowerment in mass.
No,
but they will listen. And try to pull up next to you, bumping the music, talking about nigga and bitches and hoes.
They will listen to
because they have to slut the music out. You know, that's a form of warfare. You know, they've weaponized the music, and we can't even tell good music anymore. We can't tell when we're being poisoned, and you know, we're just like kind of gone out here. And that was one of the ways that we know.
Did she break
messages and supporting? Am I breaking up? Am I still here?
No, it was me, sis. I think it was me because everybody froze at that point. So it was me, sis.
Yeah, that was a big part of our community. Great music, and we could tell the difference in a good artist and, you know, garbage. You know, we could tell the difference between great music and garbage.
Absolutely,
you know?
Absolutely. And like you said, music. I'm thinking about art. I'm thinking about, you know, cartoon shows, regular TV shows, all of that. The arts.
Exactly.
But
mind.
Absolutely.
Fashion. Teach you to think abstractly as well. You're not like being dictated. You can use all the great music we created as African people. Is an attest of that. Even with the message that's in hip hop, we took something and made, you know, took nothing and made something great out of it, even though it's been, you know, it's under attack now, you know, and under control of alien people. But the initial, what it came from, you know, was a testament to our genius and our creativity. Because no one else creates music in America, but Black people. All the music that's here, even though there might be music that you see dominated by, you know, other culture, or rather I'll say the dominant culture, but we created it all, from rock and roll, jazz, blues, all of that stuff is all our creation. Spirituals, gospel music, that's all. There's no music here that wasn't created by Black people. There's nothing.
You know I'm ready.
Country, western, all of that.
Since I did, I said, you know, I'm ready for your book. I can't wait until your book drops.
Oh man, I'm a brilliant.
You said you're going to go into the history of music. You said you were going to go.
Yeah. Well, you got to. You know, I mean, I teach on the collegiate level, and most of the students are from other cultures. But I give them a thorough history on slavery and Black music, and you know, they be going to write me up because of that. But I don't care, because I don't feel like you have the right to want to learn. They want to dissect where the music, you know, culturally where it came from, so they can feel comfortable playing it. But I don't allow that to go down.
That's right, sis. And I just wanted to say, Sister Alima, while you were talking about Panther wear, just wanted to show the people that I never asked people to support something that I haven't supported. Good quality shoe. Good quality shoe.
Let me see.
I have my shoes.
Like that's nice.
My Panther wear shoes, right?
Woo!
Produced by brothers that look like us. Produced by people who look like us. I never, you know, what are you rocking? What you have on your feet? Timberland, Nike. What you got on your feet?
That's right.
But let's go ahead, Brother Impu, brother Tawola.
Resurgence of the African mind. I'm excited. I don't know about y'all.
Yes.
You know, but I be anticipating, and I was feeling some kind of way, Dr. Maat, because you didn't send the link out until real close to 7, and I'm sitting here in my hands, and she ain't sent nothing yet. But I'm glad you sent me the link. We're here, you know, and we're growing. You can find me every Sunday with these people, right here.
Absolutely.
Resurgence of the African mind. I love you all. Black and peace, power, y'all.
Love it. Peace and power,
Love
brother.
you
Peace and
too.
Black Power, Church of the African Mind. Once again, thank you for this wonderful panel. They went on the panel, everyone's contribution. You can catch me here next Sunday from the time from 7 to 9 to go over chapter 21. Thanks for all the viewers for spending your time with us. You can give it anywhere, but I'm glad you spent it with us. Take
That's
care,
right.
Sister Lima,
Huh?
keep on posting, baby. Keep on posting.
All right. Yeah, I haven't posted in like a week. I've been slipping, but I'm back on it, family.
That's why I'm not boycotting. I'm not boycotting Ben. I'm sticking with Ben. he has a tennis shoe.
Come on, love. Come on, love. I love us for real. I love us for real.
Brother Travis.
Brother Travis.
Oh, peace, fam. Brother Travis out of Detroit. Powerful group. Now, I had a question for everybody. Since chapter 21 is a short chapter, should we read 22 also? How are we going to do that?
Oh, because 22 is a long chapter.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Yes, I can. Again, it's Brother Travis out of Detroit. Powerful group, powerful information. I just encourage people to continue to come in and study with us. We're going to read a lot of material. This book has opened my mind to other avenues of what we need to do as a people. Dr. Amos Wilson was a genius that we lost.
Yes.
He was a jewel that that's heavily missed. Yes, he was heavily missed. I just imagine what he could have put together, because again, he was trying to write. Dr. Amos Wilson said that he wasn't writing for this generation. He when we in the early 1990s, he was writing for future generations of our youth that was coming up. He wanted to put a whole educational program together for the youth. Just a loss there, a heavy loss there. But we're going to keep the legacy going. Hotel,
brother. Tell them where to find you, Brother Travis. Where can they find you? People want to get in touch with you.
Shemsu Netcher on Facebook. You can SHEMSU Netcher, NETCHER. Shemsu Netcher.
All right, family. So we'll see you.
Wait, I want to say something.
All right, Brother Chaos. I'm sorry.
I will leave a paragraph and closing remarks from our brother, Baba Amos Wilson. The irony of education. The paradox I have to deal with daily in my classroom is the amount of lying that must take place in the name of education, which I like to call training. The amount of outright deception that goes nailed to the cross in classrooms after classroom. How people tremble, quake, suffer from anxiety when truth and reality is brought up by their teachers. How people are pushed out of universities and pushed because they dare talk about truth. How people think they should go to school only to be made comfortable. Students, time in and time again, that when you enter my classroom, you are not going to be comfortable. I'm here to raise your level of anxiety and your level of fear. F-E-A-R, fear. Class or any class, particularly a social science class, and you are comfortable, chances are that you are being lied to. It is these classes that you must attain a confrontation with yourself, with reality, and where you must attain a confrontation with the lying world you in terms of who and what you are now. You must confront the nature of this beast called education, of which you are part, and how it is going to transfer you into a beast. How you then must become conscious of what is you're doing to you and against you, so you may escape it planning destiny for you. Eric, and to find the group that I created a year ago called Intellectual Warfare, I'll share with dr.maat. There you can share and post business and all this stuff. And this, the passage I just read to y'all is from one of the few last books before the new one that was released last year, The Afrocentric Consciousness versus New World Order, the New World Order, so-called. Okay. So thank you for your patience, time. And like I said, this is only just the beginning as from this Book Club, because people must understand, people have been comfortable too long. That's and right. Really, when he was alive, he said it himself decades ago. He's here to raise your anxiety, to put that fear in you. because we are not living in a nice world. This world rules on the opposite of fear. So you gotta confront the fears, not only the world outside, but within yourself. Thank you again. Good night.
Well said.
Yeah, that was well said, brother. All right. So we'll see you back the next time, next week, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We love you. Have a safe, productive week. Peace and Black Power.
Peace.